Nickelodeon was responsible for your childhood and mine. If you weren't watching Disney, of course. Whether it was SpongeBob, Zoe 101, iCarly, or Drake and Josh, there was always something to watch on Nickelodeon. And the man responsible for all of these shows, except for SpongeBob, is a man known as Dan Schneider. Dan is credited as creating and producing shows such as Victorious, Sam and Cat, All That, Kenan and Kel, The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, and of course iCarly. He really likes those ampersands, doesn't he? One thing no one really talks about is how all of these shows seem to be in the same universe. Kind of like an MCU type of thing, where all these shows coexist in the same universe and can sometimes share characters, such as Carly, Sam, and Freddy meeting up with the gang from Victorious in an episode. However, through actor sharing, references, and plot inconsistencies, it's almost as confusing as the DCEU, because that's a mess. Where's our Snyder cut of I Party with Victorious, huh, Nickelodeon? Throughout this video, I will be explaining why most of these shows, and a few others, share a universe. I'll come up with theories on how some of the characters look like others because they were played by the same actor but aren't the same person. And all sources will be linked in the description below, if you'd like to go down this rabbit hole, just like I did. Anyway, let's get into the video!
Excuse me.
Hi.
Carly! You see a girl around here about this tall, brown hair?
No, No, not really. I'm Patty Schwab. Hey.
Oh, wait, I see her. Carl, you there?
Subject spotted. I just saw Steven.
While Dan Schneider created and produced All That and The Amanda Show, they don't really fit in with the other shows, as they're like an SNL type show where they just did skits. That's where Drake Bell got his start, Josh Peck, Amanda Bynes, even Jamie Lynn Spears, who played Zoe in Zoe 101, she got her start on that show as well. Why am I wearing headphones? I don't need to wear headphones for this. It's hot in here as it is already. Don't need my ears sweating. And while they do share a lot of the same actors, they aren't really playing the characters they're famous for. Thus, we can rule out those two shows as being in this universe. They don't really fit in the category anyway. And the two shows that will start this off are actually Drake and Josh and Zoe 101. Drake and Josh first aired in 2004, making it the first show as part of this timeline. This show had many characters you will see later on throughout this universe, such as Drake Bell playing Drake Parker, and Josh Peck playing Josh Nichols. This is also where we first see Jerry Trainer as Crazy Steve, who pops up a couple times later on. This is also where there is walking upstairs. I don't like that. I think Ethan is coming downstairs. Anyway. And this is where we'd see Miranda Cosgrove as Megan Parker. And obviously, Miranda and Jerry would go on to play characters in iCarly. And Nathan Kress, who played Freddy in iCarly, also made an appearance in Drake and Josh as a character named Toplin, a geeky kid at a birthday party who had a crush on Megan. Funnily enough, that's also his character arc as Freddy, him having a crush on Carly. It's like it was meant to be. I can still hear him up there. What are you doing? I don't think he can hear me. He probably has his AirPods in. Ethan, you're loud. Yvette Nicole Brown played Helen in Drake and Josh. Then would go on to reprise her role as Helen in Victorious, a show that came a couple years later. And we know that this is the same Helen from both shows, because not only does she talk about her past working at a theater, but she also mentions Crazy Steve by name. Which means that not only does Helen from Drake and Josh exist with Victorious, but that means that Crazy Steve also exists in Victorious. So that means that Drake and Josh and Victorious both share a universe. Simple? Sure. We'll go with that. And Crazy Steve would also go on to make an appearance in the iCarly / Victorious spin-off show Sam and Cat, as he was a little cameo during an episode, which means that not only does Drake and Josh and Victorious share a universe, but now they share a universe with iCarly. And we know this because Victorious did a crossover with iCarly called iParty with Victorious that featured not only Freddie, Carly, Sam, and Spencer, but also all the Victorious crew. This means that all three of these shows are in the same universe, but it goes deeper than that. So Yvette Nicole Brown also made an appearance in iCarly. However, it was a non-speaking role. There was an episode where Carly wanted to learn how to draw a bunny because she couldn't do it, so she asked Spencer for drawing lessons. This episode is called I Want Locker 239, where Locker 239, which is apparently 4 times bigger than all the other lockers, suddenly becomes available in the middle of the school year, and everybody wants it. Sam and Freddie both end up getting this locker. But Carly is preoccupied with learning to draw. She ends up stopping learning from Spencer because he's teaching her weird. She just doesn't like the way he's teaching. So she goes to an art class. This makes Spencer irate, but as they're in the art class, someone sitting in the front row painting is a character played by Yvette Nicole Brown. She doesn't get a name. She is simply credited as Painter. But since she doesn't get a name or a speaking role or even a character, it's safe to just go along with the fact that maybe that's Helen. Maybe she just drove up to Seattle. Maybe she left her job at the premiere and stayed in Seattle for a little bit, and then went back to California to go to Los Angeles for Hollywood Arts. But since it wasn't a speaking role, we cannot rule out that they weren't the same person. You also can't just assume that they're the same person, but we can't rule it out. Oh God, he's coming down here. Okay, he's leaving. Fuck, now he's coming back down again. Thought you were gonna be sleeping longer. Okay, guys, we have Ethan in the room. Now, people appearing from Drake and Josh in iCarly and Victorious as their same characters, that's whatever. That just means that Drake and Josh takes place in the same universe. I mean, the fact that Jerry Traynor is in both shows as 2 different characters, Miranda Cosgrove is in both shows as 2 different characters. Whatever. That's fine. But it goes even deeper than that, because now we can include Zoe 101. You guys may think, well, Victoria Justice was in Victorious and Zoe 101, but didn't play the same character. How do we know they're in the same universe? Glad you asked. Here's how we can tell. In 3 shows, starting with Zoe 101, there's a character called Stacy Dilson. I don't know who Stacy Dilson is, because I have not watched these shows for so long. Apparently, she was in iCarly, Zoe 101, and Victorious. Not as main character, not as a supporting character or a reoccurring role. I think in iCarly and Victorious, she just kind of showed up in an episode, but played the same person. So Stacy Dilson started in Zoe 101. This means that Zoe 101 has the same character as Victorious and iCarly, who both share the same universe. Zoe 101 fits in there. And the real kicker, Coco, the dorm attendant for Zoe, the one that was always eating ice cream, breaking up with Carl every 3 weeks. She appeared in iCarly. Right? Was that it? She appeared in iCarly? Yeah. So Coco and her boyfriend Carl both made appearances in iCarly and Sam and Cat, which puts iCarly and Zoe 101 in the same universe. Gets even further than that, Eric and Craig from Drake and Josh have also appeared in iCarly and Victorious. And so that puts Zoe 101, Drake and Josh, iCarly, and Victorious, and by proxy Sam and Cat, since it is a spin-off show, all in the same universe. Then we get into the bad parts. So now we got people that play different characters in different things, such as Miranda Cosgrove playing Megan and Carly. How do we explain this? You've got Jerry Trainer playing Crazy Steve and Spencer. How do you explain this? Well, it goes even further than this. Jeanette McCurdy also featured in an episode of Victorious, prior to I Party with Victorious, the crossover. She played a character named Pawnee, with a P, not a B. Apparently that was a thing that they just kept talking about in the episode. It was weird. I barely watched any of it. I just wanted to see the appearance of her. You can hardly tell it's Jeanette McCurdy. She's got darker hair, and she's a lot more shy. But it's still Jeanette McCurdy. You can pass this off as just a slight resemblance. That's fine. They're nowhere near the character that they were. But Jeanette McCurdy also played a character in Zoe 101 that was like a kid in Dustin's class. She was a 6th grader, but she was like a year older because she got held back a year. And she had the same personality type as Sam. Okay, not that much of a problem either. Well, Miranda Cosgrove also was in Zoe 101. Ethan, you motherfucker. Miranda Cosgrove was also in Zoe 101 as a character named Paige, a kid genius who rivaled that of Quinn Pensky. And Danielle Monet, the girl who played Trina Vega in Victorious, was also in Zoe 101 as Rebecca. And I don't know who Rebecca is. Ethan is leaving the room. I don't know who Rebecca is. But she also played a character in iCarly as a popular 11th grade girl. I don't know if this was a speaking line or not. And one of the later shows that Dan Schneider created was called Henry Danger. There was also a spin-off show called The Adventures of Kid Danger, but we're not going to include that because it's just an animated show. Henry Danger, a show about superheroes or something. I don't know, never watched it. Apparently, a character named Goomer from Sam and Cat appeared in Henry Danger. Now this would mean that not only does Sam and Cat and Henry Danger share a universe, but that means that it shares a universe with all the other shows. So now it's a big conglomerate of characters and stuff, and maybe we can just pass off the fact that all of these characters kind of look similar, because humans just sometimes look similar to each other. Maybe they're related, maybe they're doppelgangers, maybe they're just distant cousins. I mean, maybe I look like some of my cousins, I don't know. I have too many cousins. But even with all of these crossovers, we can still rule them as different people who just happen to look the same. You see this in Hollywood all the time with actors who look like other actors. Like if you ever looked at a picture of Tom Hardy and then a couple of other guys and just put them all in a thing, and you're like, I cannot tell which one of these is which person. Because everyone in Hollywood just for some reason looks the same. I mean, obviously this would be in the same thing because this is Hollywood, but yeah, we can just call it that. You know, 7 billion people on Earth, we're bound to look the same as somebody else. So that's it, right? We've connected the universe by characters who have played the same characters in different shows. We're done, right? No. As previously stated, Drake Bell played one of the titular characters of the show Drake and Josh. He was also in All That and the Amanda Show, but like I said, we're not counting those. Drake Bell also portrayed Drake Parker in iCarly. Now you're probably asking yourself, what episode was this, huh? I didn't know Drake Parker was on iCarly. Oh my god, did he mention Megan? Did he talk about Josh? What happened? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but the answer is a bit disappointing. The episode that he was in is called iBloop. It was a blooper episode, basically a clip show episode. A lot of TV shows do this, where they just kind of show clips from their previous episodes. Sam and Cat did basically the same thing, where they played them characters as themselves. Weird thing. Basically, iBloop featured Miranda Cosgrove talking to Jerry Trainor out of character, and just started showing clips from previous episodes about, stuff that was going on, just stuff that happened on the set, just blooper reels and stuff like that. Fairly common stuff. Well, Drake Bell showed up in character. I feel like this really shouldn't count, because if it was just Drake Bell coming in as Drake Bell, whatever, it's a blooper episode. It's not part of the continuity. But he came in as Drake Parker, not Drake Bell. What? Came in, was called Carly Megan. I think he referenced Crazy Steve. Talked about Josh, their mom and their dad, and asked who Freddie, Sam, and Freddie's mom were. This was weird, but it was a very, very quick thing. Drake Bell also appeared as Drake Bell. Drake Bell also kind of appeared as Drake Bell / Drake Parker in Sam and Cat in their own blooper episode, which was like hashtag clip show or something, hashtag blooper episode or whatever. But it was literally just they were playing themselves going out to lunch between takes, and a bunch of people were coming up to them, including their waiter, who were like, "Oh my god, you guys are from the show Sam and Cat. Can we ask questions?" And then they'd be like, "Yeah." And then they show them clips on their little in-universe P-pods. They're Dan Schneider's way of getting around the whole Apple thing. But it was basically a clip show episode. Characters played themselves, except for all the actors who played the random people coming up asking questions. This one guy asked for highlights of Sam and Cat, but also to include Drake and Josh bloopers, which technically means he showed up as Drake Parker and Drake Bell at the same time, but yeah, that's just the thing. I'm going too much off on that one particular episode. However, okay, Drake Parker showed up on iCarly. Cool. Drake and Josh, we already know, is in the same universe as iCarly. Why does this matter? Why does this matter? Here's why it matters. In Zoe 101, remember, this show is taking place at the same time as Drake and Josh. And this is when Drake Bell started getting more famous as a musician. So Drake Bell makes an appearance as Drake Bell, not Drake Parker. And since Zoe 101 and Drake and Josh take place in the same universe as we know, that means that not only is there a musician named Drake Parker who's rising up through the ranks, there's a musician named Drake Bell who's perhaps already famous. And they're just like, I feel if Drake Bell's already famous, Drake Parker has zero chance of becoming famous because he's basically a carbon copy of Drake Bell in that sense, even though they're technically the same person. But in that universe, they'd be two different people. This is confusing, right? That's why this is called the Drake Bell conundrum. Okay, well, Zoe 101, whatever. It's not like it happened again. Oh, it happened again. It happened again. In Victorious, nonetheless. Yeah, that's right, Victorious. So, in Victorious, there's, I think in Tori's locker, there's, like, a picture of Drake Bell. Not Drake Parker, Drake Bell. And I don't know if Drake Bell ever made an appearance in Victorious. I don't think he did, but yeah, there's that. So why is Drake Bell a thing? However, while he didn't make an appearance, before Helen showed up, Drake and Josh was name dropped as a TV show in Victorious. And not only this, but Zoe 101 was listed as a TV show as well. How are we gonna get around this? If Drake and Josh and Zoe 101 are both TV shows in the universe, but they're also in the same universe, what are we doing? Well, maybe Zoe 101 and Drake and Josh are reality TV shows, which would make Drake Parker famous. However, we can't say that because the shows weren't filmed as reality TV shows. Well, I guess you can make the argument for Drake and Josh, but you really shouldn't, because like the opening monologues before the opening credits, they talk to the camera, and so I guess you can say that kind of was a reality TV show, but none of it, the rest of the episode isn't filmed like a reality TV show. So maybe Drake and Josh went on to be famous to have a TV show called Drake and Josh in the universe. I think that'd be fun. Hey, Nickelodeon, do something with that and make Drake and Josh a canon TV show in like Henry Danger or something, and then be like, oh man, Drake Parker's so cool, I'm glad he's a real person and not an actor named Drake Bell. You know, that'd be cool. A little kind of like, hey, that's how we can explain stuff happening that's how we can explain these continuity errors, guys. Don't worry, we got this all under control. So that kind of throws everything to shit. The two last shows that Dan Schneider got to work on before leaving Nickelodeon in 2018 was Henry Danger and Game Shakers. So, unless you want to count the adventures of Kid Danger, but that we don't want to count that, and I'm not going to. There's not a lot of crossover with this one. Like I've already mentioned, Goomer made an appearance, but Henry Danger also did a crossover with Game Shakers. Yeah, and in this, they said that iCarly is a TV show. Not the webcast, not the webcast called iCarly, the actual TV show starring Miranda Cosgrove and Jeanette McCurdy. Meta. Anyway, this completely ruins everything. I hate Dan Schneider. Well, it's not the only reason I hate Dan Schneider, but I'd rather not talk about the other reason. That's a video for itself, huh? We can maybe explain this. Maybe it was the webcast they were talking about, because in the research for this video, I did not go and watch the episode, even though it's on Netflix and I can clearly go and watch it, but I choose not to, because I don't want to fucking... I've already fucking watched a lot of fucking episodes for this goddamn video, and I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to watch anymore. Please do not make me watch more. Anyway, that just completely ruins things. Because if Sam and Cat and Henry Danger take place in the same universe by proxy of Goomer, and Sam and Cat is a spin-off of iCarly, how is iCarly, the actual TV show iCarly, a TV show in the universe of... Dan, you motherfucker. You know, I'd like to believe that all of these TV shows share the same universe. Ever since Disney started doing those crossover episodes, like Kim Possible and Lilo and Stitch, like the Proud Family and Lilo and Stitch, was that a thing? I think that was a thing. American Dragon Jake Long and Lilo and Stitch, that was a good episode. I liked that one. Anything that had Lilo and Stitch in it, I liked. But then you had like the That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana and the Wizards of Waverly Place one they did with Sweet Life on Deck, and I think Hannah Montana was in that one. Yeah, because she was on the ship. But then the Wizards, I don't remember what that one was called. But I liked it because it said that, you know, they're all in the same universe. We never got any other instance of this happening because Disney just kind of did not like to do that. And they just saved these big television events for that, which was pretty cool, you know. But you don't get Alex from Wizards of Waverly Place randomly mentioning Zach or Cody because they just don't. We can likely assume that they're in the same universe because of these crossovers, but you know, they didn't really do a whole lot. Nickelodeon ended up doing a lot because Dan Schneider liked to reuse characters. He liked to reuse actors and characters and stuff. The Doctor Who did this same thing, as Peter Capaldi and Karen Gillan were both in the Fires of Pompeii before becoming main characters in their storylines, their seasons. You know, Karen Gillan was one of the sisters of whatever before becoming Amy Pond. Peter Capaldi was Caecilius or whatever the fuck his name was before becoming the 12th Doctor. I mean, this just kind of happens. It's one of the reasons that I love Marvel so much, because Marvel is able to interweave storylines, characters, movies, all these stuff. You get Ant-Man that has an Avenger in it. You have Hulk that has Tony Stark in the post-credit scene. Everyone's coming together, and even though Hulk is played by a different guy and War Machine's played by a different guy, but then you get Secretary Ross, who was a general before that, showing up, and he's played by the same guy. You're like, oh my god, this is cool. You get Captain America, who then has Black Widow in his movie, but then you get Iron Man, who also has Black Widow in his movie, and it's like, wow, this is cool, and you get mentions. It's a mind-blowing thing to really think about, and Nickelodeon tried to do that. Even with all the plot consistency errors, I can still enjoy these shows for what they are. Or at least I did when I was younger. I had to watch a lot of this for this video. I watched iCarly, I watched Victorious, I watched Sam and Cat. Please do not make me watch Sam and Cat again. Please. You know that nostalgia effect? You know, you loved something so much when you were younger, but then you go back to it and you just so badly want to like it still that you've just convinced yourself that it's still good even though you know it's not. Like the original Spider-Man from 2002. None of that holds up. Especially with this new Spider-Man going on, none of that holds up, but it's everyone's childhood that they just convince themselves that that one's so much better, even though there's so much wrong with it, because that was their childhood. You know, you go back and you play an old game, and you just convince yourself that it's still fun to play, even though the graphics are terrible, it barely handles well, and it crashes like crazy because it's just so old. And you convince yourself that it's still a good game, even though you know that there's so many better games out there. I got none of that when watching iCarly back, or watching Victorious, or Sam and Cat. I looked at it and I'm like, it's just a bunch of kids screaming at each other with nonsensical plot lines, non-existent character arcs. I don't know what I was expecting to go back into this, but you know, I remember being younger and be able to watch these shows for hours. Just hours, sitting on the couch in the basement with the big flat screen TV, just watching these shows until wrestling came on. was watching that, but just kind of sit there all day watching these shows, and now I can't even sit through one episode to find a stupid reference to another TV show. Am I old? Am I getting old? Is that what this is? Do I not see life as fun anymore? What's wrong with me? No. It's the kids who are wrong. It's the
children who are wrong.
No matter. I have memories of watching each new episode with excitement. What's gonna happen? What are Carly and Sam and Freddy gonna get themselves into this week? What's gonna happen with Tori and the gang? I used to be so excited about the crazy situations, scenarios that the characters found themselves in. And honestly, I think even if they aren't properly in the same universe, or if they are, we can still enjoy the TV shows for what they are and how they are scripted within their own individual universes. Anyway, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me in the comments below. Do you think they're all in a shared universe? Are there things I missed out on and you would like to share in the comments? Would you like to tell them to me on Twitter at XMCI Wrestling? How about my Facebook? All the links are down in the description below. You can go to my Patreon, put in at least $1, maybe more if you want to. Get some pretty cool stuff, like your name in the comments, you get an on-air shout out, maybe a bonus video every month. You can get the same rewards on my OnlyFans website. That's right. No nudity on that one at all. Trust me, you do not want to see that. However, you do get the same perks as my Patreon, so head on over there to see what you might get. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like and please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 200 by the end of the year. We just hit 150 subscribers and are now at least 153 by the time I'm recording this video. So please consider subscribing. It really helps out a lot. But anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Have an awesome day. Fuck you, Ethan. I really hope the microphone caught that.